Perfect. Okay, so I'm basically, guys, I started this stream a little bit early today because of the fact that is Bitcoin is starting to break down, guys. Bitcoin is starting to break down right now, and it is breaking key levels. For example, we are breaking this massive little consolidation phase. This type of phase is similarly known as the Bart-Simpson pattern. Um, Basically, how it forms is something similar to what we got over here. So this is something that we had, which is why I took the sell position for Bitcoin right now. So basically, this is something that we're getting at the moment. There we go. I think that's better. So yeah, let's see what happens for Bitcoin today. Right now, I'm currently in a short position. I want to see if we can actually take out this low. It's not looking like we will though. You can see that we are coming down, but it is holding up a little bit quite nicely, right? So we need this to obviously flip bearish. We need this to flip bearish here. So we'll see what happens for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can take out these lows today, that would be good, which is something to watch out for the short term, right? So on the higher time frame note, basically what I'm looking at is potential sell-off right back down to this level. Looking for potential longs for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can indeed, Bitcoin, if it can come back down to tap into this level, and then I'll be looking to actually take a long off this level back up to the highs, right? So let's see if we can get that for Bitcoin. Obviously, right now we are coming down, but it does look like it's getting eaten up here for the market. So let's see what happens. It has been trying to break this level the whole day, which is kind of making me think that it is a weak zone for Bitcoin. You can see that we have been tapping into this level multiple times, guys, multiple times into this level, which is making me a little bit curious to see if we can actually come down a little bit more. So we'll see what we can get today. we are looking at a potential sell-off back down to these lows for BTC. Okay, so let's see what happens. You can see on the higher time frames, this is obviously the critical zone for Bitcoin, and I want to see if we can take out that level. So we'll see if we can. But yeah, overall, looking like it does want to come down before we go up. We obviously know that there's a lot of fundamental things that are happening. If we have a look here, guys, on the chart, like total 3, right? Okay, so total 3, guys, is technically this was the bottom that we had for total 3. Just want to keep Bitcoin on the sidelines here so we can see what's happening, because we are in that sell position for BTC. But you can see that this is your key support for the total 3, which is basically all the coins, all the altcoins except Bitcoin and ETH. And you can see right now we are getting a bit rejected from the highs right over here. This is going to be the rejection zone that we're getting for the total 3. You can see as long as price stays below this level, we should be fine. So what I'm waiting for is a potential pop above this zone over here. That is going to send us back up to these highs over here, which is what I'll be looking at for the imminent short turn, right? If we can obviously draw this box a little bit wider, we're going to make that a little bit different color here. But essentially, this is something to look at. Total 3 hasn't even broken out yet, guys. It hasn't even broken out, which is a good thing, because a lot of people feel like they have missed some setups, and I don't think that is the case. I don't think that is the case for total 3. I honestly think that price can come down a little bit lower. If we look at the daily time frame, you can see that is obviously holding that key level, and it's still making lower lows and lower highs. So potentially, guys, this could be the signal for the altcoins that we have to take out this high, right? Otherwise, we're probably just going to keep on ranging for the total 3 back down to this level over here. Okay, so right now, it's important just to wait for this breakout. But until then, we're probably just going to wait for that, right? Because if price can come back down to this zone over here, because on the weekly time frame, we can see that this is a valid level. If you look a little bit left to the right over here, we can see that price is definitely reacting at that zone, right? It is reacting at that level, which is something that we need to obviously watch out for the short term. Okay. So for me right now, what's important to do is I want to see if we can potentially break this level within this week, which will be good, right? Because we are obviously respecting that level, but it's important to obviously get that daily candle closing above that level, which would signal that the altcoins are most likely gonna move to the upside, right? We do also have a little bit of a trend line here on the lower time frame, right over here. And as long as we stay above this level here for total 3, price is most probably just going to bounce from this level. So there is going to be a small little dip here for the total 3, which is something that we can see on most charts. Most charts are looking like they do want to dip a little bit, which is something to obviously watch out for. So just be careful with entering longs right now. I think we can come down a little bit lower before we see that upside potential. If we do have a look at this, we can even come back down to tap into this high over here, which is something to obviously watch out for, right? So this level right over here is going to be the level that I would be looking at longs for the market. But right now, we are just going to be playing it safe and looking for potential shorts until we can get those confirmations to the upside. If we have a look at Avax, guys, Avax broke that trend last week. If we look at the weekly time frame, Avax is approaching quite a critical zone right now. If we look at the daily, you can see that we are still below that 200-day moving average. You can see right over here that we are still trading below this level. If we actually do this, this is probably more accurate. Price is currently holding, right? So what I'll be looking at for AVAX is a potential long position if we can come back down to this level of 23.95, right? 23.95 is going to be the zone that I'm going to be looking at for potential long for AVAX. If we can come to that level, back up to this level, potentially just break out to the highs, right? The TPs are going to be in the targets here, are going to be at these levels, which is something to obviously note right here. This is going to be the TPs for this AVAX setup. If we can come down a little bit lower, guys, if we can come down a little bit lower, that would be the signal to obviously get in. But this is obviously a critical zone for AVAX, and I'll be looking at potential longs at this level, okay, which is something to obviously note for AVAX. AVAX is looking really, really clean for potential setups for the upside, but right now it's getting rejected from a critical zone on the daily time frame. Okay, so that is something to look at for AVAX. This is one of the coins that I have been looking at for the short term. I want to see if price can actually come back down over here and potentially get a reaction from this level. See if we can get a retracement back up to the highs. Right, nothing just goes up in a straight line, and you have to remember that. If we go back to Bitcoin right now, basically what I'm looking at here is if we can get this closure a little bit bearish here, that would be a good signal. The 1 hour candle needs to close bearish. If the 30-minute candle just closed, we did actually close bearish here. But it is seeming to be buying it up a little bit here. But I want to see if we can just break these lows for the short term. And that is something to look at for the imminent short term, which is why we did take a sell for Bitcoin. I want to see if we can potentially come a little bit lower here before we see that push up, which is something to obviously watch out for, right? So obviously, when looking at BTC, the higher time frames, guys, is this level here, right? So I'm expecting a short back down to this level here, and then a potential long a little bit later on, maybe within this week, because the weekly time frame is bullish, right? The weekly time frame is bullish, but for the short term, I'm expecting a little bit of a retracement, and then look for longs a little bit later on, right? So that is something that I will be looking at for today, which is why I did take those sells. If we have a look at the 5 minutes, you can see that we are coming down a little bit here, which is good. We did break this key support, and this is all clean traffic, right? So what I mean by that is there's not much resistance between this zone, right? There's nothing really holding that level. We know that this is liquidity zone over here, 62,800. If we have a look at this starter over here, we can see that this is going to be the key level. If we look at the daily, there's a little bit of liquidity a little bit lower here at 62,800, which is going to be our level that we're going to be focusing on for the day, and 62K. So 62K is going to be a fundamental level for Bitcoin, which is something to obviously watch for. Okay, so Bitcoin coming down quite nicely for a potential run up. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens for BTC. We'll see if we can come down a little bit lower. Obviously, right now, I'm just focusing on Bitcoin because of the fact that this type of pattern here is a 𝗕𝗫'𝘀. So let's see if I'll show you what I mean by that. If we can use the bar, I think it's the bar pattern, right? If we can just inverse this. Something like this is what I'm expecting to play out, guys, for the short term. Basically, we pretty much just inverting that move from the top side. This is something that I can see play out on the short term. You can see that there is going to be a reaction happening at this level over here, which is something to obviously watch out for Bitcoin. So right now, this is obviously a level that I would be looking at. Obviously take profit a little bit there, but I can see us coming down a little bit lower. Of course, this is where the liquidity is sitting at. If we have a look at the book map, right? The book map shows us where the liquidity is sitting, and 62K, we do have 61,800 but majority is sitting at 63K. So we'll look out for that. We'll watch out for that for Bitcoin, but this is something to look at for BTC. You can see that it's looking absolutely beautiful right now for that inverse for Bitcoin right now. So let's see if we can obviously replicate that. You can see that this over here, this is what I've drawn. So basically it's looking relatively similar. We should find a little bit of support over here, and then we should see a reaction off that bounce, which is something that I'll be looking at for the short term. So let's see what happens, guys. It's going to be one of those days where we just wait and see. But overall, looking like it does want to come down a little bit lower before we go up, right? So let's see if we can take out these lows. Another position that I was looking at today was Sats. Relatively similar pattern, but I'm looking for potential longs as well over here, which is in correlation. If we have a look at left here, I don't think it is. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a zone over here. We're going to extend that to the right. But yeah, Bitcoin's coming down, guys. Bitcoin is coming down quite nicely, which is what we were predicting, right? This is what we were saying a little bit earlier. If Bitcoin can break these lows right now, we should see a reaction at around about 62,800, which is what I'll be looking at for the short term. Okay, so overall market is relatively bullish, but taking sells to the lower side is what going to be the game plan for the short term here. We are breaking that 15-minute low, which is something to obviously watch out for. That is the orb. And we are below these key the key moving average over here, the 200-day and the VWAP, which is telling us that we could potentially come down. Whenever we're above the VWAP and the 200-day, we tend to go up. So we're going to have to wait for that in order for us to take some longs for the short term. But this is just a pullback that we are expecting to obviously play out. So let's see if we can get this for Bitcoin. Something to obviously note is that the TPs are going to be shown on the chart here, which is something to watch out for. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens here. Looking relatively nice though. AVAX, like I said, AVAX is also breaking lows. If we look at AVAX on the 4-hour time frame, this is something to watch out for AVAX. We need AVAX to, because I'm actually looking for potential sells here. We did obviously break that key level around about here. So this was that trend line. You can see that price. Let's have a look here. Relatively the same, right? Which is what I'll be looking at for AVAX. So I'm expecting AVAX to come down a little bit as well. Looking to reverse that move to the upside. So yeah, let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens if we can get that. We are getting quite a nice push to the downside. A bit of sell orders coming in right now. So let's see if we can obviously come down a little bit lower. So the 1-hour time frame is showing us that we have a little bit of liquidity sitting at 62,900, which is potentially going to be the first level, and then 62,400 could be the level as well, and then obviously 62K, we have quite a bit. So there's quite a few levels that I'll be watching out for Bitcoin. But yeah, for right now, I'm currently just chilling out. I'm gonna just be patient. Okay, this type of pattern, guys, it doesn't happen often, and when it does, we do see quite a bit of a flush. We do see quite a bit of a flush to the downside, which is why we did potentially take those shorts. And I do think that the first level is going to be here, which is what we have to watch out for. Because if we do take the fib from this little pump, it actually comes in a lot lower. So yeah, we can probably see quite a bit of a dump before we see upside. But yeah, let's see. All right. So what I would like to see is this level obviously get taken, and I want to see price obviously break the support. I mean, it's currently holding right now on the 5. You can see that we just need to flip. We just need this to flip bearish. Once it flips bearish, this will give us a signal to come down a little bit lower. Let's have a look at some other charts. Litecoin, similarly the same. It's also below that level that I was looking at. You know, we are looking at a bit of a rejection from that trend line. If we do also look at it on the lower time frames, we can see that. Let's have a look here. Litecoin looking relatively strong compared to most other coins on the 4-hour and the 1-hour time frame. It is looking relatively stronger than Bitcoin. So yeah, I think Litecoin is probably not the one that you want to be looking at for sells. You probably look for buys just off the bat. Yeah. So it's currently just stuck in a range, Litecoin. If Litecoin can obviously come back down to the bottom of this range, this would be the level to look at. If we can come back down over here to 9 to around about 62.32, that is the key zone for Litecoin. And I do think it's possible for us to come down a little bit lower here to tap into this level for potential long for Litecoin. So I'll be looking at a long for Litecoin in this area back up to the highs, but for potential breakout to the upside. But right now it's below those key levels that I was looking at, and it's just not valid for any key setup right now for Litecoin. But yeah, like I said, for Bitcoin, as long as it holds this level here, we should be good to see a further move to the downside. The 1-hour time frame is looking like it wants to get absolutely shrinked. Over here, if we look at the 30 is looking like it does want to come down as well, which is what we want to be looking at. So yes, that is the game plan for the day. We're obviously seeing a little bit of a buy up here off this 200-day, but overall we should see a little bit of a push here if we can just break this low for Bitcoin. But right now it's more of a waiting game. Just be patient to see if this can play out. If it doesn't play out, then we do have stop loss at a break-even point for the short term. So let's see what happens. If we look at Ethereum is doing a similar type of thing. What I was waiting for is a similar type of pattern to what Bitcoin was doing. Essentially, we have the bars right over here. So we take it from the move up to this move. We invert it. Boom. And that is something similar to what we're getting right now. Not obviously accurate to the sense that it's going to happen to the same extent. but it's something to consider for the imminent short term. We are obviously seeing a little bit of a buy up here, but potentially if we can just break this low for Ethereum here, probably look at a potential sell to come back down to this 2641 level. This is probably the most simple trade that you're going to get, but if it doesn't play out, it doesn't play out. So right now I'm currently seeing if we can obviously get a push up a little bit lower, but we'll see. We shall see what happens. If Ethereum can hold this daily resistance, it's going to be important, right? This is your daily resistance. We can actually move this down a little bit lower here, because that is the key level. Yeah, you can see on the 4 hour as well. If we lose this level here, we're going to see a bit of a shove back down to the lows. So for now, it's really important probably just to wait for this next 1 hour close. We'll see if we can get a push a little bit lower. Yeah. Avax holding up quite nicely. AR also holding up a little bit nicely. Altcoins are stronger, guys. Altcoins are strong at the moment. You can see that we do have a bit of a trend line support over here, which is what I'll potentially look at over here. If we can come down a little bit lower here, that'll be good. And then also Bitcoin dominance. Let's have a look at Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance is going to be the one. You can see we are getting a little bit of a shove. If we have a look at the weekly did actually close quite bullish here. But relative to what we got, we do need to break that trend line. Let's make this a little bit nicer to. So this is something to obviously note here, that this is what we got, right? This is something we have for the short term here. We obviously have this level, boom, 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 boom. We break below here, retest, come down a little bit lower. That would be the signal for the alts to obviously get a lot more attention. But that weekly candle for Bitcoin dominance is not that good, right? We obviously want a bit of a bearish closing, right? A bearish closing, which would be quite nice. But that weekly candle kind of respected that level, which is not a good thing. Okay, but that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy the stream. Make sure you guys like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.